Greetings, friends. Here's the story. In 2020, after participating in the art challenge for Parachutes 20, I decided to create a Coldplay album art booklet. Each album had its own piece in the booklet. Of course, when I made this in 2020, there were only 8 Coldplay albums, and now there are 9. My goal here is to create a new Coldplay art booklet that I'll put up on my Patreon as a free download, just like the other one, which is still available, by the way. Patreon.com/Caribou Animation. You can go download that. And this time I'm going to record all the sessions of me working on the booklet and edit together some videos, but I'm also doing it a little differently this time because you may not know this. I recorded myself drawing some of those other drawings for the last booklet, and I never managed to edit them together into a video. So this time I'm going to approach this project in small chunks. I have 3 drawings finished already, and you're gonna see those drawings here today. After doing these 3 drawings, I'm editing this video together. Then I'm gonna do another set of 3, edit another video, so expect at least 4 videos out of this if I stick to that plan. Okay. One thing that's different for this booklet compared to the others, obviously this is a booklet centered around one album, right? And the last booklet was 8 different albums, and those drawings were mostly based on the album title track or something similar enough. I ran into some issues with that. But this booklet is going to be for the entire album, so each piece will be for each song, and there are 12 tracks on this album, so gonna be 12 drawings, and there may or may not be a secret 13th drawing for a forgotten planet. Anyway, so I wanted this booklet to have a kind of theme running through it and a bit of a journey as well. It is in no way a solid story from beginning to end. And a lot of these are not necessarily super abstract, but somewhat abstract, or, you know, you're not necessarily going to be able to draw a clear connection between the art and the song. But these are kind of my own interpretation and iteration based on these songs. So I started out by sketching all of them collectively. I was going to go through and listen to the album and try to write down what I thought about while listening to the songs, and it just wasn't happening. So instead I just decided to create a grid of boxes, little thumbnail boxes, and just start sketching some ideas together. I also went on my favorite color website, coolers.co, to get a color palette. One of the things that I wanted to do to help me keep this whole booklet cohesive is work from a singular color palette. I didn't want it to be the exact same palette of the Music of the Spheres era, though, like black, dark blue, lighter blue, pink. I could have done that, but I wanted to pick something different. I did pick a color scheme that I think is not too far off, though. That's what I'm working from. And I found that having this grid of the thumbnails really helped me to build, like I said, I wanted there to be some kind of journey throughout, so I could really kind of piece it together, seeing all of these at once. And then I could also test the color palette and make sure that the colors worked well together and that I could, you know, work with them well enough to feel confident in proceeding. After I had all of those drawings finished, then I didn't really know what to do, honestly. Then I was like, okay, now what? So I picked one of them. I ended up picking Let Somebody Go because I felt like that was the strongest of the drawings. I really felt that I didn't need to do too many more iterations on that to get it to where I wanted it to be. Some of the other drawings are really rough. Some of them I need to go back in and like figure out anatomy. Some of them have people in it and I don't have a lot of detail on those people, and again, need to figure out anatomy. So I figured, let somebody go will be a good one to start with. It'll get me moving. So I did, and while I was working on it, trying to experiment with all the different brushes that I have in Photoshop, which are all available for free when you have Photoshop and the Adobe Creative Cloud. It's like an option under brushes. You can find more brushes and it takes you to the page on Adobe's website where you can download all these packs. And so I wanted to, experiment more with the brushes. I found in the past year or so of mostly doing my animation work, that blend modes help so much. And I finally, I knew it before, but I finally have a better grasp on what it means to refine and improve your drawing or animation or whatever through the use of layers. So always adding more layers on to kind of make it complete. At the same time, it's always totally feasible and sometimes beneficial to then remove some of those layers later, or maybe continue to tweak them, change them up, try something different with it. I found the experimentation in that process has actually been really successful for me. At least I'm happy with the stuff that I've made through that process. So this was kind of similar. And when I first finished it, I was like, not really sure. Is this what I want? But another pro tip, if you're not sure about the work you're doing, take a step back from it. Literally take a step back from it. Honestly, sometimes I'll get up and walk across the room to gain a different perspective, but also take some time away from it, close out of it, go do something else, come back to it later and see how you feel. And if you still feel about it, you'll probably have a little more clarity to be able to pinpoint specifically what's not working. When you're working on something, when you're in the midst of it for so long, you lose sight of it and it gets clouded. So when you take a step back or when you take some time away from it, you come back, you have a clearer mind and a better understanding of if there's something that needs to be improved, a better understanding of what that is. Or you might find, like I did, that when I came back, I was like, oh, actually, yeah, it looks good. So I moved on. The second drawing that I decided to work on, well, here's what happened. I was starting to work on my universe because I don't remember why I picked that one next. I feel like it probably was going to need the most work from my sketch. It felt perhaps the least inspired. And that's including the infinity sign drawing that I did, which is just a bunch of lines. But my universe, I was not uninspired, but I couldn't figure out how to translate the song into a drawing. And I had this idea at first that was kind of plant-like, flowery, and having kind of almost like a palm tree base. It wasn't making sense. So I tried instead to do something that was more like bursting, more vivacious. Of course, limiting myself to this one color palette. I also wanted to try to experiment with having a different background color than the dark blue, which is used a lot. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think actually that keeping everything with the dark background is going to help. I felt that looking at the thumbnails. It feels like the thumbnails that have that dark purplish blue as the base background color are more successful than the other ones. So I'm probably going to try to work that into every single one. But this time I thought, well, I'll try with the lighter blue. And I have the red, and I kind of was going for a pseudo watermelon look, and with these just drops kind of bursting out from a center point and then coming up and out and sort of just kind of going through the process of gravity and falling back down. And I don't think, so here's the thing. What I came out with in the end from that experimentation, I think it looks good. I think it looks interesting. but it's just not, first of all, not what I wanted. And not in keeping, I can't find a relation to the song. When I look at it, I don't even see any possibility of it to be related to the song. Now, is the other thing that I ended up making related? I don't know. I might still need to mess around with that one a little bit more. But I made that, and I once again decided I'm gonna step away from this because I'm too close to it right now, and I didn't have any idea for how else to proceed with it. So I took a step back from that and decided to work on the Alien Choir artwork next. For Alien Choir, when I listen to that song, it always feels like space travel. So this one is someone looking out the window of a spaceship, rocket ship, probably the rocket ship that is in some of the other drawings. And this one definitely needed quite a bit of refinement in the sketch just because there's a person in there and I didn't have any details of this person. Just kind of their body. So I went through some sketch iterations, had to work a bit with the pose and the positioning of the character, and then I didn't really have details for the face yet still, or the hair. I ended up basically, honestly, he just kind of looks like Chris, let's be real. He kind of looks like Chris, and I did intentionally give him old school Chris hair, the really big curly hair that he's had a couple of times in his Coldplay career. That's what ended up happening, and I am really pleased with how this one came out as well. I think trying to find some balance between having elements of the drawings that have line art versus other elements that are lineless. And in some drawings, like in the Let Somebody Go drawing, those kind of cloudy ethereal elements or the planets, they work really well lineless. And the character's hands definitely need to have that line art. I think I found a decent balance in the Alien Choir video, but I was a little concerned about having the window be lineless, in that it maybe was too much of a focal point that was so different from the line art of the character. But I think it works. I'm not too pressed about it. So ultimately, this is just a project to express my love for Music of the Spheres, the album, and my love for Coldplay, and I think that this accomplishes it pretty well. Once Alien Choir was finished, I did return to my universe. What happened is that I decided to listen to the song just as I was going to bed. I thought maybe something could appear to me. What I thought about was that the watermelon-ish aspect, like the rind element of the original drawing that I did end up looking a bit like water. Overall, the drawing looked like a bunch of blood spurting out of water. And I was thinking about the water while I was listening to the very beginning of the song. And then I had this vision in my head of the opening to Link's Awakening, which is a game that I was recently streaming on my Twitch channel, the Switch version that just came out a couple years ago. So I had Link's Awakening on my mind. And I just kind of was thinking about the water, and I thought about the opening of that game where Link is going through the storm and then he gets hit and you wake up on Koholint Island. And then I thought about this shape that I was getting in the original thumbnail and in the burst. This like teardrop, but slightly warped teardrop, I guess you could say. A flexible teardrop. I just had this thought when Chris said the words, "In the night I lie and look up at you," When the Morning Comes, I Watch You Rise. I realized in that second, like, this teardrop shape is like the windfish. If you've never played Link's Awakening, the windfish is basically a giant whale in the sky. It's complicated, but Link's Awakening is a great game, one of my favorite Zelda games. But long story short, the windfish is a whale, basically. So I had this idea of like, what if, of course, the water, the whale shape, even my original plant-like drawing had sort of a palm tree aspect to it. So I was like, what I need to do is make this drawing not just a Coldplay drawing, but also a Link's Awakening drawing. So I sketched something out real quick because this was like at 10 o'clock at night, remember? I was like, I shouldn't stay up too late, but I feel like I need to do this right now. So I got it out. And then I went back to it a few days later. I did end up readjusting like pretty much the whole thing, but it was good to have that idea out. So it's like the windfish kind of, swim floating through the air and having the island, or like a vague sense of the island in the background. Then what I thought about doing is the windfish has a design on it, a lot of like geometric shapes and stuff. So I thought about approaching that, but with elements from Music of the Spheres. So having, instead of like a circle at the top of the head, it's the infinity symbol. And another circle where the wings are is just a spiral. And I kind of also incorporated, this is probably the only way that this still really fits in with my universe, but I kind of incorporated the character design for Blaze of Supernova 7. He's the yellow guy covered in fur, real alien looking, real weird looking. I incorporated elements of him, meaning the fur parts, into this windfish equivalent here. And especially in the second iteration that I did, I gave him some of the same face fuzz and in the tail, and a little spurts that come out from the center of, or the centers of the holes in the infinity sign. You know what I'm talking about because you're looking at it. I am a little worried looking back at this finished piece that it's more menacing than I intended it to be, and more menacing than it should be for the song that it's connected to. I think I can easily change that if I fix up the eyes a little bit. Instead of having that plain red, maybe I can use the like off-white color as well to lighten it up a bit and make it look a little friendlier. And the mouth being open, like with the windfish, if you look up the windfish from Link's Awakening, it doesn't look intimidating. It looks more like a cool whale, like a cool guy. That's kind of what he looks like. He has his mouth open like that. And the teeth are showing. But I feel the angle that I drew mine at, it just looks menacing. But I think I'll leave it. I'll leave it for now. Maybe come back to it later to adjust something, if necessary. Same thing actually with the Let Somebody Go drawing. The electricity that happens between the fingers, I've also thought about redoing that so it's more noticeable. But again, these things I'm gonna wait until the whole thing is finished, because I want it to all be cohesive, and so some of these elements might not matter in the grand scheme of things. I might also see, can I incorporate more elements from the My Universe drawing into some of the other ones? For example, like the Coloratura drawing is really a reflection on the previous ones, so maybe it can be seen in that drawing or something like that, I think I can make it work. I haven't yet decided which three I'll do next, and I don't honestly know if I could decide. The reason why I did these three was just because in those moments, those were the ones I felt would be good to continue on with. If I had to pick three right now, because I am going to do them in sets of three, I might go with Beautiful, probably something like Humankind, and Mott's 2, Music of the Spheres 2. I think those might be good ones to tackle next because they need some refinement. I'll probably leave Coloratura and first Music of the Spheres for the last set, and maybe Human Heart with that one as well. Infinity Sign, People, the Pride, and Higher Power I guess will be together too. Maybe those ones, or maybe not. I'm kind of feeling those ones though, so keep your eyes peeled. I'm hoping to have the next set of drawings finished a week from when this video goes out. Thank you for joining me on this journey here. If you'd like to see the progress of these as they're being made instead of waiting for potential videos, I'm posting the drawings when they're finished and some updates, behind the scenes stuff as well over on Patreon. Again, patreon.com/Caribou Animation. And if you want to grab the original Coldplay album artwork booklet that I did, that's also available. It should be pinned on my page, I think. It's available for free, so you don't even have to sign up for my Patreon to get access to that. And you won't have to either for this final Mott's booklet. But if you choose to support me, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone who's already supported me over there on Patreon or on my Ko-fi page. Is that what it's called? I don't promote that either. I probably should. Anyway, I really just appreciate you being here watching this YouTube video and listening to me blab on for 20 minutes with these drawings. So until next time, peace out.